Ryan Johnson. Hey. Let's bring up. Let's start with. We should start with. We have the two of the incredibly people who made this movie. Let's start with Lee Young Hong, the actor. Congratulations on the movie. I'm so excited to be here. This is your first time at the Vista Theater?
예, 처음 와봤어요. 뮤지컬 시작은 영화로 몇번 가봤는데 비슷한 처음.
Yes, it's my first time at the Vista Theater. I've been to New Beverly a couple of times to watch movies, but it's my first time at Vista.
Just coming out and saying how much I loved all the detail, and like a true director, the first thing Director Park asked me was, "Those aren't on during the movie, right?" And I was like, "No, they're not." And I was like, "Wait a minute, did they?" I'm also so excited, to be able to talk to you also, and one of the many reasons why. By the way, how great was this movie? Many reasons why I was joyful watching this movie is I think like a lot of people who grew up watching movies. I was in my 20s when kind of your movies were started coming out. My first exposure to Director Park's work was JSA.
Yeah. Woo!
Young Kong was also a brilliant performance in that film. I would love to. We're going to talk plenty about this film. I would love to start asking about JSA and about how you two first met, about casting that movie, because it wasn't your first film, Director Park. And I understand both of you had kind of had a few false starts. You were not at the high point when you made that movie that ended up being your big breakthrough. So can you both talk about your first meeting together and how that went?
JSA는 사실 저의 세 번째 영화고, 그래서 처음 만나긴 했는데 두 번째 영화 때 사실 캐스팅하고 싶어서 애타게 원했는데 차갑게 거절했었죠. 그리고 세 번째 겨우 저의 소원이 이루어졌습니다.
So JSA is my third film, and we first met when we were working on JSA. But the truth is, I actually wanted to cast Kyung-hun for my second film. I desperately wanted to cast him, but he coldly turned me down. So my third film did my wish come true.
그때 제가 그를 특히 원했던 이유는 사람들이 그때 당시 한국 사람들이 생각하는 것처럼 저는 그를 굉장히 미남 스타라고 별 생각을 안 했어요. 그냥 평범한 한국의 청년을 연기하기에 어울리는 나 이렇게 생각하고 그를 원했죠. 저는 그때 무명 감독이었지만 무명 정도가 아니라 북한의 영화를 아주 크게 말아먹은 아주 위험한 감독이었지만 프로덕션 컴퍼니는 굉장히 한국 최고의 회사였기 때문에 그래서 아마 캐스팅 가능했던 것 같습니다.
And the reason I wanted to cast him for JSA is that, unlike most people in Korea, I didn't think he was a heartthrob. I didn't think he was an actor who represented a typical young Korean man, which is why I wanted to cast him for the role. And at that time, as a film director, I wasn't very well known. And in fact, I was a complete flop for my first two films. So you could almost say I was a very dangerous director to pick for a project. But the production company for JSA was one of the best in Korea, which I think was what allowed me to finally cast him for my movie.
그때와 마찬가지로 이번 노아는 정말 가장 평범한 우리 이웃에 살고 있을 것 같은 그런 남자를 원했기 때문에 또 이번에도 같은 이유로 원했습니다.
And just like the reason I casted him for JSA, I wanted someone to play a very typical neighbor-like man for no other choice. So I casted Lee Byung-hun again for the same reason.
나머지 경험이
And Byung-hun can speak on the rest.
I remember. I remember the day I first met him was 27 years ago, 8 years ago. I was watching a movie. That was the day my movie screened, test screening. And she was outside waiting for me. And then I went out from the theater and he was holding his script. And I didn't like his outfit. He was doing a ponytail and wearing a beard jacket, and I instantly thought, maybe I'm not gonna work with him. Anyways, I got the script, and then yeah, of course we couldn't make it at the time, and then later on he sent me another script that was JSA, and it broke the the records and everything, and it was one of the best movies in Korean movie script. Yeah, I was lucky, and yeah, we both were so happy with that. After that, I've been waiting for his next project, and finally we made this amazing movie.
Yeah. Question one, and already you've accused him of being heartless and turning you down and not being heartthrob, and you've knocked back on his fashion sense. His sparks are flying already. I wanted to talk about this film. So, based on the Donald Westlake, the great crime author, Richard Stark, he wrote also a book called The Axe, which is a hell of a book. If anyone tracks it down, it's really hard-strung. Can you talk about it? I mean, the book is obviously set in the States. It's very different. Can you talk about the development process of what first drew you to it, and also what led to the decision to make it in Korea and to make it as a Korean film?
네, 제가 20년 전에 처음 원제를 읽었고 읽은 이유는 지금 말씀하신 그 웨슬레이크라는 이름을 쓰면서도 또 한편 리처드 스타크라는 필명으로 작품을 쓰기도 했던 분이에요. 그 리처드 스타크라는 이름으로 썼던 책을 근거로 만들어진 영화가 포인트 블랭크거든요. 제가 그 영화를 너무 좋아해가지고 그 원작자의 다른 작품이라는 것을 한국에 번역했다는 사실을 바로 읽었죠.
I first read the novel The Axe around 12 years ago. The reason that I first read the book is because Donald Westlake, like you mentioned, also went by another pen name, Richard Stark. And one of the books that he wrote as Richard Stark, that a film was based on, was Point Blank, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So as soon as I found out that there's a translated publication of this writer's other novels, I decided to immediately pick up The Axe.
포인트 블랭크 리마는 나온 영화인데 혹시 안 보신 분 있으면 꼭 보시기 바랍니다. 정말 이 영화도 이 극장에서 한번 딱 어울리고.
And if any of you guys haven't seen Point Blank yet, it's a movie with Lee Marvin. It's an incredible movie that you need to check out. I actually think it would be perfect to be screened at this theater, actually.
그래서 영화 만들고 싶다는 생각을 했는데 한국에서 당시에 미국 소설을 한 권을 산다는 게 좀 엄두가 안 났어요. 당시 한국 영화의 산업의 규모를 봤을 때 너무 비쌀 것 같아서 그래서 망설이면서 뭐 4, 5년 세월이 흘렀고요. 그래서 좀 용기를 내서 한 권을 알아봤더니 글쎄 이미 프랑스에서 영화가 만들어졌다는 거예요. 그것도 평범한 감독이 아니라 코스탈 가브라스라는 대가의 손에 의해서 만들어졌다는 얘기를 듣고 정말 좌절했어요.
So I decided that I want to make this into a film, but at first I couldn't dare look into the rights for the novel because at the time the Korean film industry was so small that the idea of it just felt impossible for me to buy an American novel's rights. So I spent 4 or 5 years just hesitating, and then I finally got the courage to look into the rights, and that's when I found out that this novel had already been adapted into a movie by a French filmmaker in France, and it wasn't just any filmmaker, it was D. Costa-Gavras, the master Costa-Gavras, and of course I was extremely devastated to hear the news.
막상 영화를 보여서 보니까 내가 가려고 하는 방향과는 정말 완전히 거의 뭐 정반대 방향이 있더라고요. 굉장히 이 영화는 냉소적인, 좀 건조한 그런 톤이었어요.
But when I actually got around to watch Costa-Gavras' film, I realized that its approach was completely different, or in fact the complete opposite of what I had in mind. That film took a very cynical and dry approach.
그래서 다른 영화를 만들 수 있겠다는 자신이 생겼고, 그래서 이제 한번 계약을 했고, 그 가브라스 부부가 한 권 보유자였거든요. 그래서 그 부부를 프로듀서로 모시고 본격적으로 일을 시작했는데, 당연히 저는 미국 영화만 생각을 했습니다.
So I realized that the movie that I'm going to make is going to be very different from his. So I finally got the rights for the novel, and the Gavrses actually had the rights to the novel, so we brought them on as producers. And initially, I developed this as an American film.
근데 그 미국 스튜디오들, 프랑스와 미국의 스튜디오들이 제가 원하는 수준의 그 예산을 주려고 하지 않더라고요. 그래서 계속 내가 원하는 예산보다 훨씬 적은 예산으로 그렇게라도 만들 것이냐, 아니면 기다릴 것이냐는 고민을 하면서 10몇 년 세월이 흘렀습니다.
But the American and French studios that I talked with didn't give me the level of budget that I wanted for the project. So I spent 10 plus years wrestling between, oh, should I just make this for far less than I had planned, or should I wait for a little longer?
결국에는 이러다가는 영영 못 만들겠다는 생각이 들어서 한국 영화로 바꾸면 어떨까 하는 아이디어가 생겼고요. 그 다음부터 아주 빠르게 진행됐어요. 한국 영화로 바꾸겠다라고 결심하는 순간, 그렇다면 주인공은 이병헌이다라는 생각이 동시에 떠올랐고요. 그러니까 이제 이병헌한테 전화를 했고, 그다음에 그거 하겠다고 하니까 투자도 아주 쉽게 이루어졌고 아주 빠르게 진전이 되어서 오늘날 이 자리에 있게 됐습니다.
And then at some point I realized that at this rate I'll never be able to make this movie. So that's when I made the decision to change this into a Korean film. And ever since then, everything moved very quickly from there. And as soon as I decided to make this into a Korean film, that's also when I decided that Lee Byung-hun needs to play the lead. So I called him for the role and he said yes. And after he said yes, the investments came around very easily. And fast forward, we're here today.
This was all leading to, like in the movie, you murdering totally, it is, I love the movie, totally, and beyond, I wanted to actually ask you about performance-wise, because I think one of the things that I love about it is how comically big your performance gets. At times, it's almost like a heroic performance, the physical comedy that you're doing. But I feel like that's so smart and so vital because that's where your sympathy for the character comes in because he's so activist. But you play him in such a way that opens a window to our empathy for the character. I want to ask, like, what was your way into playing this guy, and in terms of that level of physical comedy, is that something you talk to director Park about? Is that something that makes sense to you?
먼저 참 아까 감독님의 천상에 대한 이야기는 내가 감독님 일부러 놀리려고 재미있게 일을 하는 거예요.
I just want to clarify that in terms of my first impression of Director Park, I was just making fun of him. I wasn't.
You're such a hard
사실 그 시간은 거의 한 30년 되죠. 그 시간부터 지금까지 굉장히 서로 친한 형동생 지내는 사이이기 때문에 저희는 늘 이런 농담을 공식적인 대화인데요.
We've been really close friends, almost brothers, for the last 20 to 30 years. So when we're in public together, we're always making jokes like this.
영화 얘기를 질문에 대한 얘기를 하잖아요. 이제 뭐 많은 사람들이 이제 처음 사실 저희 베이스 영화에서 어떤 평론가가 저희 이름을 두고 그 슬라스틱 코미디에 대한 그런 단어를 쓰면서 이야기를 했었을 때 약간 놀랐어요. 한 번도 슬라스틱 코미디라고 생각을 하면서 연기를 한 적이 없었거든요. 이 작품을 하면서.
And to talk about the film a little bit, when the film premiered at Venice Film Festival, a critic actually mentioned the slapstick nature of my acting. And I was actually really surprised seeing that piece of critique just because I never thought that I was acting in a slapstick way.
평범한 한 가정이 그런 극단적인 결론을 내리고 또 결정을 하고 그런 것을 행동으로 그런 극단적 행동을 옮길 때 분명 거기에서 나오는 엄청난 불안과 긴장 때문에 굉장히 소프트한 어떤 모습들이 나올 수밖에 없을 거라는 생각을 했었고 온전히 시나리오에서 그려진 그 인물의 감정을 따라가려고 하는 거기에만 가장 집중하면서 연기를 했었던 것 같아요. 그렇기 때문에 어느 순간은 굉장히 신뢰 보이기도 하지만 또 어느 순간은 굉장히 서툴러 보이고 그런 서툴음이 자칫 커다란 일부를 어차피 보여주려고 하는 것처럼 과장된 몸짓이 나오기도 하고 그런 부분들 때문에 그렇게 보여줄 수 있을 거라는 생각이 들기도 하네요.
I think my character Mansu, he's a very ordinary patriarch who has to face some very extreme decisions. And he really has to make those decisions and move them into action. And in that process, he's experiencing a lot of anxiety. So naturally, he's clumsy. And all these elements of the story were really already in the script. So I wanted to just follow the feeling of that story and focus on the emotions of my character. And of course, sometimes his actions are very planned. However, the execution of these actions can be clumsy. So I was really focused on not being overly showy, but really staying true to the emotion of the character.
이게 사실 멀리서 바라보면 그것이 굉장히 수고스럽고 정말 코믹한 그런 느낌처럼 보일 수 있지만 제3자의 입장에서 보면 그것을 본인의 입장에서 가까이 카메라가 들여다보면 그 사람처럼 처절하고 비참하고 더 이상 갈 데가 없는 바닥까지 내려오는 그런 어떤 처절한 심정일 수밖에 없다는 그런 생각을 하실 수 있을 거예요.
I'm sure as the audience, as you're watching, you realize that from a distance, situations like this can almost seem comedic from a third person's point of view. However, if you bring the camera up close and you really get really close to that character, you feel that despair, how dire the situation is, how rock bottom he is at, and how this is really truly a common tragedy.
Yeah, it feels nothing but truthful the entire way through. It's a real testament to your performance. I want a different version of the same question directed at Park. I feel like something that I've always, as someone who's been a fan of films for so long, for me, I feel so much of an influence or I recognize a lot of Hitchcock in your work. And not even in terms of the tension, but the biggest influence for me is how you completely and rightly disregard the border between comedy and horror. And you recognize the funny and the horrifying, and the horrifying in things that feel funny. And in this, especially, can you talk about tonally kind of how you think about humor in your movies? And for you, are you even thinking in those terms, or are you just thinking in terms of the truthfulness of the situation?
예. 지금 질문에 이미 다 답이 들어 있는 것 같네요. 뭔가 인간을 정확하게 묘사하기 위해서는 정확하게 묘사하려고 노력하다 보면 자연스럽게 어쩔 수 없이 정말 글자는 그거 어쩔 수 없이 이것들이 다 들어있어야 되는, 다 표현될 수밖에 없는 것 같아요. 그러니까 비극적인 것, 슬프고 분노하는 상황, 그런 것들과 코믹한 상황이, 코믹한 측면이 한꺼번에 묘사될 수밖에 없다라고 저는 생각합니다.
I think all the answers were already in the question that you asked, but I think the process of trying to accurately portray mankind, or naturally or literally, you have no other choice but to express everything, from the tragedy, the sadness, and the rage, to all the comedic aspects of it. I think they are naturally just portrayed at the same time at once.
저만 해도 예를 들어서 부부싸움 한다든가 또는 또 스튜디오 중역들 앞에서 내 작품 막 피칭한다든가 또 막 그런 절박한 상황 있잖아요. 또 때로는 화가 날 때도 있고 그런 절박한 상황을 만약에 캠코더로 찍어가지고 나중에 본다면 내가 스스로 나를 봐도 정말 웃기는 순간들이 정말 많을 거라고 확신하거든요.
Because even if I think about my own life, for instance, if I'm in an argument with my wife or I'm trying to pitch to studio executives, these are moments where I feel great desperation or sometimes even feel angry. But if you record it from a third-person perspective, from a camcorder, I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of funny moments for the viewers.
그러니까 제 말씀은 이것은 분리될 수 있는 것이 아니다. 이 코미디 또는 어떤 유머러스한 상황 이런 것은 그 밖에 상반된다고 우리가 흔히 생각하는 비극성이라든가 그런 것과 분리될 수 있는 것이 아니다라는 것이 저의 기본적인 생각이에요.
So what I'm trying to say is I think the comedy or the humorous moments and what we usually consider as the opposite of that, like tragedy, that can't be separated. That's what I fundamentally believe.
히치콕뿐만 아니라 당연히 히치콕에서 그런 걸 배우고 그리고 제가 제일 그런 면을 많이 배운 것은 카프카의 소설입니다.
And I didn't learn that just from Hitchcock, although there's a lot of that in Hitchcock as well. I think I learned that most from Kafka's novel.
인생의 부조리란 도무지 이게 이렇게 단순하게 정의내릴 수 없는 그런 부조리한 면을 묘사하다 보면 당연히 어떤 화가 나는 상황과 또는 슬픈 상황과 함께 코미디가 동반하게 될 수밖에 없다.
Because you really learn about the absurdities of life and how you can't have a simple definition of anything in our lives, and how in angering situations or saddening situations, it always comes with comedy.
좋은 예술작품들은 다 제 생각에 되게 그런 것 같아요. 이 나이프스 아웃 시리즈 하는 것처럼 굉장히 진지한 갑자기
Yeah, shout out.
그 유머들이 얼마나 이 작품을 풍요롭게 만드는 그것만밖에 알 수 있죠.
I think all good art is that way, even if when you think about Knives Out, in serious moments, humor always kicks in, and that always makes the project so much richer to the audience.
I guess I think we got wrapped up here. One last question. So when Westlake wrote this novel, people were still extensively using paper. And one of the wonderful things that you bring out in this film is how there's these drastic measures, and it's all in the aid of entering an industry that feels outdated in design, and you bring explicitly in AI and technology. And I don't know, I just wanted, as one of, as one of my favorite filmmakers working today, I'd love to hear just where your head is at in terms of something that makes art, and in terms of the challenges with the world that is increasingly feeling like the factory at the end of this movie as an environment for artists.
예, 뭐, 그냥 이게 감독으로서 산업의 흐름을 바꿀 수 있는 것도 아니고, 산업의 미래를 예측할 수 있는 그런 비전을 가진 사람도 아닙니다.
I'm just one out of many filmmakers, so I don't have the power to change the industry or the power to predict the future of the industry.
그래서 저는 제가 배우는 대로 뭐 조금씩 느리게 테크놀로지에 적응해가면서 이 작품을 만들어서
So just as I've also learned, I will just slowly and little by little adjust to technology as I continue to make my films.
제가 확신한 것 하나는 다만 이런 것이죠. 영화라는 것은 이렇게 어두운 공간에서 와야 하고, 두 번째 갇혀 있어야 하고 함부로 나갈 수 없다는 뜻이죠. 세 번째 모여서 보아야 한다는 것입니다.
One thing I am certain of is that film, first of all, it should be viewed in a dark space just like this. And second of all, in a space where you're locked in and you're not allowed to leave. And finally, with a community of other people.
이것은 인간이 정말 아주 성사 시대서부터 밤이 됐을 때 동굴 안에서 노인의 일부에서 옛날 이야기, 조상들이 어떻게 살았는지 그런 이야기들을 모여서 들었던 그 경험으로부터 그 경험과 연결되어 있는 인간의 본성이라고 생각합니다.
And I think that really goes back to the prehistoric times where people would gather at night in the caves and the elders would tell you old stories about how their ancestors lived. And I think the theatrical experience is connected to such human nature.
여러분처럼 이렇게 필름으로 영화를 틀어주는 이런 극장이 이렇게 꽉 차서 영화를 도와주시는 이런 사람들이 있는 한 영화에는 결코 어렵지 않다라고 확신합니다.
As long as there are people like you guys who come to theaters where movies are screened in film and theaters full of other people like yourselves, I am certain that the future of film is not too dark.
Let's please give it up one more time.